And welcome back once again to Memoirs of the Father. I am your host, the Father, Alex Burnham. I have been putting off coming back to this microphone and having this conversation. I just, took a little bit of time off in between these episodes. Just took a chance to really just kind of relax. I think I went to Clarksville over the weekend to support my girlfriend's son doing his comic book and working on their adventures and stuff like that, going to like a con and being there. And that was fun just in general. I like that kind of stuff anyway. I've always been into Marvel, especially comics, uh, all kinds of stuff. Pop culture is really big, anime, all that stuff. I really enjoy that. I always have, even since I was a little kid. And it's one of those things that just never went away from me. So it was really fun to get to do that. Take some time to just kind of sleep in and rest a little bit. We had a little bit of maybe we were going to have crazy weather that ended up not being anything significant at all, thankfully. Just getting a chance to just sit down and relax and enjoy just being at home sometimes. It's one of my favorite things to do. One of the things that I've enjoyed most about a big portion of my cheerleading being done is that I get to spend a lot of time at home. And I get to enjoy the things that I've worked for and the things that I have and spend time with my family and just relax, rest, and appreciate what I've done. And, to be able to be here in that moment. Because, when you're in the bump of the season, you don't always get time to do things like that. So I've really taken the most of just being able to be with my family and be at home. Really, really love that. But I am going to be upfront that I'm in a little bit of a crabby mood. I have been all day long. I don't know why. I think I just haven't gotten enough sleep. So I am prepared to let this one rip for today. I'm really kind of angst up. I'm kind of fired up to talk about this. I'm probably going to have to go back and edit this quite a bit to make it suitable to air. And in my last one, we talked about the responsibilities of coaching and a lot of what goes into that and a lot of things that people don't talk about as far as like struggles that we go through and how these things interact us. That was not a coincidence that I did that. A lot of the things that I talked about are going to pop up in this story and preface and kind of set the tone because I think if I really had to break all these things down, I think it would be very difficult for me to do and keep keep this thing kind of rolling the way that it's supposed to. A lot of stuff happened this year. There was a lot of things that were hard, way more than I ever remember ever happening, and even I don't really remember if I had a year that had this much stuff that shouldn't have been going on, stuff that was happening outside of practice, stuff that was bleeding over into this. There were a lot of things that were really bad about this year. And if I had to pinpoint, I think this was definitely the most conflicting. It's hard to really say without getting into all of it yet, but in a lot of ways, I feel like this was like the beginning of the end for me in some ways. A lot of things were going in a direction that I didn't enjoy. Things were happening, and this is the first time where I really felt like I got sick of it. Let's put it that way. That's probably the best way to say it. This is the first time that I noticed it. This is the first time that I did not appreciate some of the struggle because the struggle was nonsense. There's some good things, and this is really just an internal conflict of everything that can go wrong was going wrong, and you just have to figure out. I mean, it was as far as coaching from an outside source perspective, this was the biggest test I've ever had in my life, and how to navigate certain things and a constant, so much change, constant change. Hard to get any kind of consistent footing to build off of, and that's one of the things I think is so important in cheerleading is consistency, being able to do things. But when people go and make mistakes, you have to change things. You have to do this. You have to do that. When you have a whole practice that's just reworking routines and going over counts, like that's not productive all the time. Nobody, like I've said this before, you never want to gut a routine. We had to do a lot of stuff this year that was just extremely difficult. So let's set the stage and let's just kind of get into it because obviously there's going to be a lot to talk about here. We are coming off back-to-back national championships in the medium co-ed division, 2017 and 2018. Our first appearance at KHSA state championship, and we won. So we're the defending state champions, defending national champions, coming off a great season. We graduated a good chunk of girls, not really any top girls, which is obviously the meat and potato of our routines. But we did lose some veterans. We did graduate Landon and Brittany as top girls, so I do need to take that back. We did graduate them. But obviously we were still returning Megan. We were still returning Taylor. We were doing pretty well on the top girl end. And we picked up several really talented ones. We had some on the back burner that we were ready to give bigger opportunities to. But we had lost quite a few people, and then coming into the trials, we weren't really sure of what we were going to pick up. And that's probably the best place to go ahead and get this started is at our tryouts. Or beginning our tryouts. So we started that probably like around mid-March, I would say. And I remember some of the beginning stuff. We did a lot of stuff up top in the gym, in the main gym, on the upper deck. I can't remember what was going on. There was other sports going on or something at the time. Maybe the basketball teams were making a deep run or something along those lines. But there was a reason why we were having to use the upper deck, and which was fine for what we're doing. Like I said, we can break that down, have a section for just tumbling, have a section for just stunts. And I was doing a lot of the stunt directing right here and in charge of a big chunk of that because obviously the girls need more assessment during the tryouts than anything. Because the girls are expected to have more skills when they try out with, we're supposed to have certain tumbling and motion and jump quality, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot more eyes on the girls, really, in those tryouts. The guys are a little bit easier to pick up on. And usually it's like, okay, who can do this? Who can do that? And then, we just kind of go from there. Guys are kind of lax. We give them enough time period. How much can you pick up? Are you coachable? Are you learnable? So a lot of attention really does go to the females, especially in this case for us, because on the guy end, we know we're returning Caleb, we're returning Jack, we were returning Ethan, we were returning Ben, who we thought was pretty much ready to break out, and he was at the end of the season. He just didn't get on the floor because he was a freshman. That's pretty much what that amounted to. So we know we've got 4 really, really solid guys to build off of. And we've got Max coming back. We had Quentin, who had shown some potential, had tumbling. So on the guy end, we're really not too stressed out. Really, we definitely want to pick up some, but we're not really. We only got 3 seniors in that group as it was. So there wasn't a ton of urgency like immediately, but we needed to fill up a few more guys. We needed to pick up at least 3 to kind of fill in our ranks. I think we ended up picking up more than that. But one of the guys that we had come in was Brandon. I've talked about Brandon on some TikTok videos. I've talked about Brandon in the past. Me and Brandon are still talked to this day. This was in 2018 in March when I met him. He came over. I don't know how he got into this. I don't know who talked to him. I know Caleb had played football, and obviously Caleb was on the team. So I'm thinking there was probably some kind of connection there with Caleb. I don't know for sure. I would love to sit down with Brandon at some point and really talk about all that. But we'll go from there. But we got Brandon pretty early on in these open gyms, maybe day one. Big boy. Big boy. Unbelievable power. Unbelievable. And he picked up on this stuff pretty quick, at least the basics, the tossing and the catching. He had some drops here and there, sure, that's part of it. But he picked up on stuff pretty quick. I think he did a toss extension like his first day. His power was just so insane because Brandon wasn't just a football player. Brandon was a very special football player. Very important on our team. Brandon was good. Very, very good. And just naturally gifted at pushing people around. And a lot of football players, especially if you can get some, Brandon was an athletic lineman. I mean, he was a big boy, don't get me wrong, but he was very agile, extremely strong, unbelievable. And I think he had like a black belt in jiu-jitsu, so that helps a lot too. But Brandon was a specialist in throwing people around and being able to stand his ground and not let people push him around, which is really, really great for stunning. And like I said, unbelievable power. Like you cannot imagine how strong he was. Did not matter who we gave him. They were going up. And it was just for him to learn to connect those dots. Understand your power, understand the context of the power that you have when you stunt. Because a lot of guys would throw real high and leave their hands low. They haven't understood to make that connection, the follow through. And you can still see a lot of that stuff early on with him being controlled. As much I think his power was a gift, at least in the beginning on his tossing, but he had to learn to control that power because these are very itty bitty girls. You can't just chuck them. Learning that control, and that was really the big key for him in the beginning. But I'm very, very excited to have him as a prospect right out the gate. Obviously, he stands out. We had some other guys come in as well. We had Tanner, that was a freshman, or going to be a freshman, and we had picked up Ethan Gentry as well. I remember these guys. There may have been other guys at the tryouts. I think Prince was there, but Prince didn't end up finishing the season with us. Um, but I think we took all of them. And I don't really know. I don't know if there were guys coming. We did cut one guy, and we'll get to that. But he was a returner, and that's an interesting story. On the girl end, it was interesting because we lost a lot of girls that had tumbling, and it's kind of that basic. I wouldn't say basic tumbling, but it's a round off handspring tuck. It's expected tumbling. That's the phrase. Expected tumbling kind of everywhere. You expect people to be able to have that. You expect people to be able to do it. We just lost a pretty big volume of that. Standing tucks, a staple of our routine, staple of our score sheet. Lost a lot of those. And a lot of the people that we had coming in weren't necessarily fulfilling that, at least not in the beginning. I'm trying to remember who all we got exactly. I know Brooklyn came in. She was from Cheers Elite, and she was friends with some other girls that were on the team already. But she had the tumbling and stuff that we needed her to have. She stood out in the beginning. And she was a tough girl. She was a back spot. We needed back spots. She checked a lot of boxes. Skills, familiar with competitive cheerleading, tough as nails. She was a handful, though. And she would be. I think we had Carly and Maggie come in this year as well. And they just didn't have a lot of tumbling when they first started. I think Tia came in this year, maybe. Yeah, Tia was here. We had Hayden. But they were kind of newish. And it's not uncommon whether we take several girls like that and they always get better. But man, it was just, we were like, well, we were kind of unsure about that. And we wanted to make sure that we were covered. So we sent out the invitation to a couple of eighth graders about coming to the team. And this is something that we had never done before. We had to go through a lot to actually get this done. Because we ended up speaking to the athletic director at the time to get approval for that, because it had been varsity and like KHSAA always allowed it, that we could have eighth graders on the team. But our school specifically would not allow eighth graders to move up and play. I think the idea was just that they've got time and, the effects obviously that it has being so young and playing at that, there's some, you got to protect some kids from some stuff. And I understood that, and I've always respected that. But in this case, we felt like we need the insurance. We need to have some skills, and we came in with a really good plan about it. Jennifer had all this laid out. She said, well, we're asking them to come in for very specific roles, and it's not going to be anything more than that. They will tumble. That's what we need. Solid standing tuck, this amount of tumbling, and that's really all we're going to ask them to do. It's not to be a top girl. It's not to do any of this or that. It was very, very straightforward that we need this for a very specific reason, and that's what we're utilizing you for, and that's what we're bringing you in for. And the athletic director ended up being really cool about it. They worked with us, and we addressed our concerns. And I think us having a game plan to where we could justify, like if some high school girl's mad that an eighth grader's on the routine and she's not, we had a really good way to justify that. Because we're like, we brought him in for these specific conditions to perform this specific role, or if you're not capable of it, and obviously we're looking at the big picture of what's best for the team. You know, also we kind of thought that it would be competitive and maybe kind of add the juice to a little bit because like why would you want somebody younger to beat you out for a spot? Thought maybe that would help. That was kind of on my end. But I guess I don't remember if there were two people that we had in mind right off the gate. But I know who I wanted, and I wanted old Caroline. Caroline, her older sister was on the team. She was a senior, Madison. And I loved Madison, enjoyed working with Madison, and loved Caroline. I met Caroline when the year before, after Nationals, when we had won. We were on the bus coming home. Or, excuse me. We were on the bus, the shuttle bus, from the competition arena over to the hotels. And when we all got on the bus, it's us, our team, we got some parents and stuff like that. We're all just trying to jam on there. And I got on, and I was the last one on. There was one seat left, and it was by little Carol. She was sitting there. I remember she had on the big old Disney ears. She was so little, so tiny. She was sitting in the seat, and her feet couldn't touch the floor. She was kicking, just little girl. And I felt awkward that I kind of had to sit next to her, but I didn't really have a choice. Her mom was like right behind us. And I was talking to her mom, who's fantastic as well. Love Kelly. And we were just talking. And she'd been talking about how that's what Caroline wanted to do. She wanted to be on the team just like her sister. And she talked about it a lot. You know, it was a cool little thing. I remember that, you know. And for her to be someone's family, I really felt like this was someone not just that I wanted to have. I wanted to work with this person because she was family. She was family of the people that had been on this team. It's coming and like she's there. Like she's seen it. She knows a little bit more than most people would. Not that she knows a whole lot, but she's been in the arena. She's thought about how like, oh, she's seen that stuff. I really wanted to work with Caroline. And I'd seen that. That was more important to me than anything. I had seen that she wanted it. That she was here. That she's gotten a chance to really see what it's all about. She wants to. And I really wanted the chance to work with her. And I was a bum damn near. I was determined to get her. Which wasn't an issue. She had all the required stuff that we needed. I wanted it in the door. I wanted to be able to work with her. I wanted to get her in the air. She was itty bitty tiny. I was excited about it. That's who I want. It wasn't too hard to get that. I think we got it fairly easily, if I'm honest. And then the other one that we picked up was Lily. She was a really strong tumbler. She had a full, obviously pretty easy pickup. She also was like really good at tennis. It was like a tennis star or whatever, but picking her up wasn't too bad. I'm not gonna say it. Yeah, I might. If anybody ever had a problem with it, they were never vocal to me about it, and for good reason. Probably, I would have. You wouldn't have liked that conversation. It would have been bad, but I would have defended those girls. Obviously, I was on board with bringing them. I thought it was what we needed. We were all in agreements on it. And if you got a problem with it, beat them. Be better. That was my thought process. And we'll go right into the open gyms, just kind of getting everything set for that. We go and do the actual tryouts. And boy, these weren't too bad. Wasn't very crazy from what I can tell you. I mean, it was pretty much run of the mill. And we had one young lady. She had come in a few weeks prior to the open gyms. And the first thing I could tell you about when I saw her was her mother. Oh my God. Boy. Drew the eye of every guy in the room, myself included. I'm telling you, oh buddy. Beautiful, unbelievably beautiful woman. Immediately we're all watching. This is going to be a common theme throughout some of these. This different. But her daughter was transferring from somewhere in Illinois, pretty close to here, and she wanted her daughter to be here, and she wanted her daughter to try out and be on the team, and they were going to move schools and all that stuff. And her name was Jada, teeny tiny. I cannot begin to tell you how small, tiny. Looks like you should be able to make something work with this, right? But the school that she came from did not have a very good cheer program, or yeah, it was just one of those places that didn't. They're probably a pretty much more traditional team. Probably, never competed, never did anything like that. Not even considering it or thinking about it. Just doing basic stuff at the game, really focusing more on the cheers, that type of place. So she was very limited, and her emotions were horrendous. Her ability to do cheers was horrendous. Her ability to learn the fight song, horrendous. But man, she was tiny. She had a back handspring that looks like she taught herself in the backyard. And I don't know if she had a round up back handspring at the time. I'm pretty confident that she didn't. She may have, but her tumbling was not. There was not a lot going for this kid other than the fact that she was tiny. And her mom, boy. But so we get to the tryouts, and Jada has, without a doubt, the lowest score I've ever seen in my life. Ever. She's that girl I was talking about in the last video. It was less than a 40. It was insanely low. Now, we had some other girls that scored pretty low. Like I said, it's not that uncommon. But this was particularly low. And the only reason I bring that up is because when we went back after the tryouts and look at the scores, we put them all up on the board. We look at them and we start having conversations. Man, that's really low. But we were going to kind of give her the benefit of the doubt because we need top girls. We don't know if we need her right now, but we've kind of established that we did lose a chunk of people. And we're going to graduate from this group. We're going to graduate Taylor, who is a senior. So we're we need at least one other top girl. She's small, and then with the extra guys that we're planning to take, it's someone for them to stunt with so that when they're on the side, they're able to be productive. Even if we can't give them focus and attention during practice, we can give them an opportunity to stunt. It may not be a lot. It might just be basics, might be growing together. But we needed that, and we have already talked about we're kind of on the low end on some things. So this is a girl that, we kind of see as a project, as someone we can utilize to help them, give her a chance to be around some more competitive cheerleading, get her feet wet. So that was just kind of the idea behind it. So we decided that no matter where she fell, we were going to take her. And the rest of it was pretty simple. We took a lot of the girls that came in. I think Kinsey came in with this group too. We took her. We took Maggie. We took all of them. The only girl that I remember that we for sure cut was a girl named Kendall that had been on the team the year before. And there was no way that we could keep her. And I know we were hurting on people because we went and got 8th graders. But it was she had been on the team the whole year before, and I don't think I ever saw her do anything. She just kind of sat in a chair at practice. When she had opportunities to do extra stuff, she never did. And when she got to this tryout, she did worse than she did the year before. Had lost some of her skills because she just hadn't been working on them, hadn't been doing them. So we made the choice to let her go, which was difficult because she had a sister that was on the team. So they're still all around. But they always handled that really, really well. I know that bothered the other girls or the other girl, but they handled it really, really well. I think they understood it. They just sucks to go through that. And then for the guys, we took almost all of them. The only one that we cut was Vito. And I don't think that he saw it coming, and I don't know how he didn't see it coming. Vito was on the team the year before, and he was one of those guys, like I said, there was constant issues with him to where it was just do we really even want to give you an opportunity? It felt like you kind of burned your bridge. You need to go away for a while and let us grow fond of missing you. But yeah, I think we had the banquet a few weeks before. He got caught vaping in the bathroom. A parent came in the bathroom during the banquet and saw him vaping and immediately told us. And that was like on the long list of, I think he got in trouble for vaping at practice. Honestly, I wasn't there at that practice, but I do remember hearing about it. He got caught ripping a vape in practice. So he's got those 2 strikes on him. I think he had a thing in Florida where, at Nationals the year before, where he went off with a guy from another school or something like that and just thought it was okay. Or he had told us, it was something like he went and he wasn't supposed to go. It ended up being okay because he was fine, but like just doing stupid stuff and not really, So when you're not, he was an alternate. When you're not, actively involved, you really don't need to be causing. You don't need to be causing stress and problems anyway. But you really don't need to be doing it the way that he was doing it. So we decided to let him go, and he was super upset, super distraught about it. But like I pretty much felt like I prepared him. I was prepared to cut him before we went in there. We all knew that it was going to happen. I think we even tried to have a conversation with him beforehand. But like after the stuff at the banquet, it was just like whatever chance we were going to give him, we just decided he was not. We didn't want to deal with the stupid stuff all the time. And we were concerned that that's what he was going to bring to the table constantly, was stupid stuff and problems. So we just decided to move on from that. Summer's the same as it always is. Keep working. Now, Caleb decided to not play football this year. Awesome. Brandon still was. But Caleb had decided he was just going to focus on cheerleading. I think almost all my guys, that's how they were, except for Brandon, who was still playing football. So he's kind of in and out sometimes during the summer. It had to be really rough on him. I mean, I know he's not going to school all the time, but like when you're playing football every single day and it's brutally hot during the summer and you're in pads and you're beat up and you're worn up and then you're going to come over, get a couple hours to cool down and then come to our practice. Yeah, man, we really thought the power and stuff was impressive, but it was like until we can really get him away from football, it's hard to. We felt like it was going to be difficult to focus on him and help him grow, but we had ended up finding ways around that. I think that like it was a little rough in the beginning, so I think we started changing some things. So like Brandon would, if he had to come over after football, and like when everybody else was doing conditioning stuff, Brandon would work with me one on one, and we would give him. I think usually like Megan or Taylor or one of the top girls. And he would work with me and him one on one. And everybody else would go work out and condition because he's already been through 2-3 hours of football. And getting to work with Brandon in that one on one time was really good for him and for me. Because, I mean, his power was unbelievable. And it's very rare that I get the chance to talk to somebody about control. Because not a lot of kids, typically we have. I mean, you might have one that's really special that can really rip on their toss. Brandon can do that. It's very rare that you have to teach people how hard to go, when to slow down, when to back off, and how to do it the correct way. How to finish your toss without launching your toss. So for me, I really thought a lot of that with Brandon was preparing him for some other stuff. And I think his insane part was teaching him control. Because he is unbelievably strong. Like anybody that's ever gotten to work with him, like if he wants you to do something, you're going to do it. You're not going to be able to not. If he wants you to spin, he's going to spin you. If he wants you to go up, you're going to go up. He can do it. It's just that simple. But teaching him how to have control, I think really, really, really made an impact on him later and had him pick up some stuff a little bit easier because he had learned, he already knew how to control. He already knew and was thinking about exactly where to place things and not use his full power. So when the time came that he did have to use more of his strength and he had to, he already knew all the follow through. He already knew all the placement. And then, being strong, he could damn near catch about anything as it was. But we really saw a lot of improvement in him in that moment. Oh my God, I forgot about Curly Q. I didn't forget about her. I knew she was there. I just didn't think about her on the tryouts. We had Randy Joe had come in, and she was friends with Taylor. She was a transfer. I think she was coming in her sophomore year. She had like some cheer experience and she could do a lot of stuff. She was so sloppy though, but she was tiny. She could jump pretty well. She had some body positions. We could do all kinds of stupid stuff with her in the beginning. Um, Man, just we were really hyped about her and excited for her, and we thought, with us and under that, like I said, she could do so much stuff in the beginning. She had really good pretty tumbling. She's just so tiny, and she ends up being a really big portion of our routine. We were excited about Raina Joe. That was the girl. She wasn't a returner, but we brought her in. We knew she was coming. I think she had come to some practices like the year before. Like we knew she was coming over. It had already pretty much been worked out with her family, and so we were excited about getting her, and we had some pretty high expectations for her. Like we thought that she could be very very special. Um, that's going to be a fun story. But yeah, so a lot of over the summer, a lot of people are really developing. Tanner got better. The guys were all kind of trending in a really good direction. We kind of knew where we wanted to go, or at least what our end game plan was. I knew from the beginning because I was never shut my mouth about it. Just wanted to toss QPs. I felt like this was a group that could do it. Boom. And it was just getting people, where who's going to be that guy. I knew Caleb was getting a lot better, and Caleb was already ahead of the guys in the beginning, and he was growing and growing. And there was times when Caleb could push me in certain areas, and a lot of that was really starting to come out this year. Jack was really growing a lot. Max had gotten a lot better. Tanner was stepping up. Brandon, and once all that control stuff got, Quentin was doing good. Ethan was doing better. All the guys were really, really, really getting better. Very, very solid. Very happy. Very consistent. All the stuff that you want them to be doing, they were doing it. And the girl end was a little bit, the ones that you always knew were going to get better were. Maggie was getting a little bit better. Mackenzie was getting a lot better. She was very strong base when we got her. Her tumbling was getting better, cleaner, more consistent. She was lifting better. Some of the other girls were struggling. Carly and Tia, Hayden, they were kind of stagnant, a little bit, and it just wasn't really flowing. Wasn't really. They were kind of struggling. I mean, it's like I said, it's kind of hard to place it on one thing because you have a lot of people that came from. They just didn't have that level of coaching. They just didn't have that level of expectation before. And sometimes it's hard, and some people just need more time. Not everybody's just gonna naturally pick out, and some of it's conditioning, all this stuff. So we had some people that were like, were kind of. I wouldn't say they weren't not getting better. It was just kind of stagnant at times because they all did end up improving, but things were kind of stagnant. So we go into choreography camp. I can't remember where we did it at. Um, I know Mark was there. I don't think it was in Moorhead, but they had brought her name was Amber Meckley down, and she cheered at Moorhead State University, and I think she cheered at West Georgia as well. I had met her a few years prior when she was a senior in high school at New Oxford and studied with her. They had brought her down, and Mark was going over like what these pyramids are going to be, and some stunts and stuff like that. And I was just playing with stuff with Amber to get a chance to kind of work this out. Because if I can't do it, and I'm going to be the one that's got to teach them, then it ain't going to happen. And then obviously, I guess the question is, if I can't do it with a Moorhead State cheerleader, then this is probably pretty hard. Uh, super breeze, super fun time. The pyramid that we had was very. I wouldn't say it was hard, but it was very technical. There's a lot of fancy twisting that ultimately led to like a low to high. Like I said, I won't say that it was like super hard, but it was just very very technical. A lot of gripping, a lot of things changing, spinning, release, catch, that kind of stuff. Um, but we had a pretty good idea of kind of what we were going to do. Um, we wanted to do the opening. I think we started off with 5 toss libs. The goal was for that to be QPs, but we were going to be realistic, give them something to work on, something to be consistent with, because we really weren't consistent at some things. Um, I think we went Ethan Johnson, and there was Brandon, Caleb, Jack, and Ben. Those five were in it. The girls were probably like Jenna Taylor, Megan Randy, and Jaden. Jaden was someone who really improved a lot this year. The year before I was kind of against. I wasn't really against taking her because I thought she definitely deserved to be on the team. I was kind of against working her as a top girl, but she had improved a lot over the summer. She was someone who I was primarily working with a lot with Caleb because me and Caleb were always in the gym stunning a lot, and who he wanted to stunt with all the time was Jaden. And she improved tremendously over the course of the summer to a point where I was like, she in my mind she was pushing being like one of the better top girls that we had, like very very quickly. Once that jump and stuff kind of smoothed out for her, like I said, she's always very solid in the air. Once the jump and stuff started to develop, she really got into that level of understanding her control. Not many people could out jump her. I mean, she was insane. I had to tell her slow down sometimes because she was exploding so fast. My knees just couldn't stand up with her. Like she was very, very, very talented and was starting to pick up things really, really big. So Caleb loved having her. And I know we were using Jenna for a while there too. Jenna's a 6 foot gladiator. We had Randy, Megan, Taylor. And then we did that crazy twisting pyramid, which we're going to end up changing at some point. We were loading up, trying to do like 6 or 7 of this, toss extension down lib at one point. Cheer, we kept it pretty simple. I think we had a little bit of creativity and kind of gave the all girl some room there, but it wasn't anything super, super crazy. And then second half, we did like this toss hands extension full down to the front. And then we do this spinny thing into a cartwheel, catch it and roll it out. It sounds insane. It really wasn't that hard. It's hard to make look good, but that's going to end up being a problem at some point. And I'll save that story for later. But you put a little pin in that, the cartwheel of death. And then our final pyramid was just like a basket going in like a hand in hand. There may have been like a full round or something in there. I can't remember. It's been so long. It was kind of a generic pyramid. Like I really didn't care for it. To be honest with you, this routine scored really well. I didn't like it. I mean, other than the toss QBs that we ended up doing in the beginning, routine really doesn't like stand out to me in a lot of special ways. It was just kind of, I don't know. It's kind of dry in some spots. If you go back and watch it, I don't know. I'm kind of negative on this year in general, so maybe I'm just being negative. But if you get a chance to watch the 2019 Nationals, you can go back and look at it. But we're going to change some stuff. We're going to go through a lot of changes. But things seem generally pretty good here. And then we roll into the school starting. That was pretty normal. Like I said, things are going really, really great. I have some pretty high expectations. I feel good. I think things are moving in a pretty good way. But we have some issues starting to pop up pretty early into the school year. We had Ben. Ben just couldn't stay out of trouble, man. He was always, his mom was super strict, and she was very odd and very strange. She had some very intense rules about him. Like he would get grounded and he can't come to practice. He get grounded and can't do this, and I'm like, Ben, you know what your mother wants you to do. Why do you keep doing the stuff that pisses her off? Because she's going to continue to ground you. This incident really, it did more than make Mama mad. He made me mad too. But he had, apparently the boys had gone out one night. I think it was like a Friday night or something. They were all going together. I don't know what they were doing. I don't want to know what they were doing. But Ben, in order to go, because his mother was not going to let him go, told his mother that they were doing some kind of practice thing with me that night and that I said that they had to be there at 11 o'clock at night on a Friday. And his mother just believes him. So when Ben doesn't get home until some ungodly hour, what does she do? Well, she texts the head coach, which is not me, it's Jennifer, and says all this stuff. And then they text me, and I'm like, what are you talking? Because Jennifer called me and said that. Just tell me about it. I was like, that didn't happen. I was like, I was at work last night. I was literally at work. Like, my shift started at 11 o'clock. That was not me. And boy, was I pissed. I'm like, okay. I I really didn't appreciate it because if something had happened and that's my ass. I mean, ultimately I can defend myself because I can prove I wasn't there and that I didn't do it. I just didn't like that at all. Something happens, something stupid, it makes me look bad. Somebody's gonna pay for that. So the boys paid for it. We they were working on cheers for the game or something, and they were gonna come work out with me. And I'd made it up in my mind that I was gonna hurt some people today. We're gonna learn a lesson. So I had them do my infamous inchworm push up around the outside of the gym, one whole lap, which is about the equivalent of a quarter of a mile. And the inchworm push up is where you're standing up, you put your hands to the ground directly in front of your feet, you walk your hands out on the ground until you're in that push up position. You do a push up, then you waddle your feet up to your hands, and your hands keep on reaching out, and you keep on just like an inchworm all the way around that. It was about a quarter of a mile, and we weren't done there. They got done with that, and then we went to the weight room, and I had these kids messed up. I was mad. We learned a lesson, and every single time in between every single workout, I made sure to bring it up to them so they knew. They knew exactly what I was talking about. I busted them up for it. And I just told them, I was like, the next time will be worse. So it's up to you. If you want to tell that story, tell it. The next time will be worse. And would you believe it? I never had that problem again. It was crazy. It was an unbelievable breakthrough. I've considered calling or publishing a book on just these amazing strategies where you hold people responsible for their actions and then you punish them and then you don't ever have that problem again. It's insane how effective that it is. And it was a very effective tool for me. I'm very, very proud of my ability to condition and put you in really, really tough positions. And I effectively did that. Nah, don't get me wrong. Anything I made them do, I did it before them. I knew exactly what I was putting them through. So it wasn't too horrible. Did nobody die on my watch. So, but yeah, I was really rough on them. And like I said, I didn't ever have that problem again. But I went out and I set that tone. And things are going well. And we have some more problems. We have something happened to old girl Jenna, and I can't remember exactly what it was. She might have had surgery or was going to have to miss some time real randomly, and we were going to have to take her out of the routine. She was a top girl. She's in a lot of stuff. And we were like, oh, we kind of really don't have a replacement. But we did have a replacement, and that was Jada, the girl that we took with the lowest score. um, Over the course of that summer, I've been studying with Jada a lot, and she'd been studying with those guys a lot on the side. It was really improving a lot, like really, really, really improving. In like 3 or 4 months, she was not the same girl. You'd have never, if if she was just like a silhouette person, you had to, who's that? You'd never guess who that was, ever. Tremendous amount of improvement. Her tumbling had gotten a little bit better, not a whole lot better, but her ability to fly and stay tight, she had improved so much. Like I said, I had worked with her a lot, but just the explosiveness of her jump. I mean, she was tiny, but she was doing things that tiny people struggle to do. I mean, she was being very, very tight, very still, very controlled. You could do a lot of things with her. She was replacing her weight well, making good switches. She was learning things the correct way. And I really enjoyed the opportunities that I got to work with her because anytime I just wanted to go stunt, we're doing something else, I just pop over to her and throw up some stunts. Well, I can't now. She's in the routine. So she gets put in, And I think the day we put her in, she's going to be with Ben. And Ben's not there because he got grounded for some other stupid thing that he did. So I run the full out. And when I tell you something, I'm dying. I'm dying. I do full outs every now and then with them when somebody's out. Ben was in everything. Ben was in a pyramid. Ben was in all the stunts. And I was like, Ben's routine sucks. And I was like, I did it. Like, it's just like at the end of the routine, at the very end of the routine, when they're doing the last pyramid, Ben gets to stand in the back. So it was like 2 minutes and 20 seconds of suffering. I was like, Ben's routine sucks. I was like, I understand a little bit why he's crazy. This is hard to do. And I was like, he's just constantly moving, constantly going, boom, 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 boom. I was like, this sucks. And that lets you know how the pace of the routines is a lot different today than it was then. I was like, this is terrible. But I did it. And I hit every single time I did it. So I learned quick. I even did the pyramids. I didn't care. I literally warmed up, did the pyramid one time. I was like, let's go. Let's just do it. Went out there full out. We hit that routine. I think I hit my stuff 3 times in a row. I know we didn't, but I did. So I had a great routine. And like I said, just in general, that stuff was just unfortunate. Like, I'm not mad at Jenna that something happened to her. Just freak thing. That's an organic thing. It's stressful, but it's an organic thing. And then the stuff with Ben is he is going out of his way to create a problem, and now I have to deal with it. Which brings us to our next one. I can't go into a whole lot of detail about this because I don't want to, more so than anything. Not every story is my story to tell. I don't hold Ethan responsible for it so much anymore because he was young and he was going through a lot and he was just not doing well. He's doing a lot better today. So I'm not really going to go into a lot of detail about something that he did when he was at a low point. I don't feel the need to do that. It was bad when we found out about it because it wasn't just so much something that he had done, but something that he had done that was affecting people on the team. So the first thing we moved to do was I think we suspended him first. And then we were going to take a couple weeks and kind of evaluate it. Ultimately, what happened during that 2 weeks, I think we placed Tanner in. We changed some things around. We reworked a chunk of the routine, put some stunts together, had to take some stunts out, had to do this, had to do that. I mean, a whole lot of stuff. And we wasted a whole practice on it because of this decision. And we had decided that, wasn't we? At the end of this, we're going to have a conversation. And the athletic director is 100% on board with whatever we decide to do. Are we going to keep Ethan or are we going to get rid of him? I think I was the only one that voted to keep him. And listen, what he did was bad. It wasn't horrible, but it was bad. And he needed to be punished. 100% agree with that. I also just felt like Ethan needed to be with us because I don't know what Ethan was going to do without us. Just hard on him. I was not in favor of getting rid of him. I felt like once we get rid of him, it said we were giving up on him. And Ethan was always kind of immature and very childish. But he really hadn't done anything catastrophically bad. But his personal life was struggling. And it was starting to bleed over. And they made the decision that they were going to get rid of him. And there was absolutely nothing that I could do to protect him in that situation. Obviously, we were just going to move forward. Now, I don't agree with the decision, but I have to support the decision. And that was hard. And another hard part was that Ethan's sister was still on the team. And we're pretty close to competing. Like this is probably October-ish. Like it's about time. And couple weeks after that, maybe not even a couple weeks, it might have been the week after, we decided that we're not going to bring Ethan back. I remember I just come over. We were having practice ride for school, and usually I get there first because Jennifer's still in the classroom. She'll finish up whatever she's doing. She'll be there by 3:30. Usually I'm there first because I'm coming over from my other job, and I come in and it's Ella, who's Ethan's sister. She's sitting there, and me and her sitting there, and other kids are coming in and rolling out the mats and getting stuff ready for practice. And she asked me, she goes, "Hey Burnham, why did you leave Graves?" And I said, "Well," and I thought about it for a second, and I said, "The easiest answer is I just wasn't happy anymore." And she sat there and she thought about it for a second. She got up and she gave me a hug. She said, "Thank you, Burnham." I said, "Anytime, anything you need." And then she proceeds to walk down to Jennifer's room and tell her that she quits. And Jennifer comes back into the gym and she's like, "Ella just quit." And I was like, "What the fuck?" I said, "That's not." I just spoke to her. I didn't think. And I was like, boy, I was like, I think I just influenced that a little bit. Like, she didn't say anything to me about it. Not even really that. She just asked me about mine. I thought that she was just curious. Like, we're getting ready to compete soon against Graves County. Like, that's kind of all. I didn't have a clue, man. Didn't have a clue. And that sucked too because I really liked Ella. She was funny, so stupid. Oh my god, textbook blonde. She's she's married now and has, I think she just had her second baby. She's young still, young, but she's already doing really really well. Married, has kids. Seems like she's really really happy. I love that for her. But damn, I didn't want to see her go, but it happened, and I was like, buddy. So now we're just a few weeks. Like, I think at this point we're 2 weeks out. We're reworking the routine again to 'cause she's on the floor. So we're all kinds of stuff's going on. What can we cut? What can we keep? Who's going here? Who's going where? Um, like I said, going into that, we did the first competition without Jenna, and I want to say, I honestly cannot remember which one came first. If it was bluegrass or the KHSAA sectional. Um, I want to say it was bluegrass that we did first, but we're gonna act like that's what it was. We went to Lexington and we did that one, the bluegrass. It was a pretty fun performance. We had, I think we had a toss lip. One of the toss lips like came to chest level and he pressed it, which is not a huge deal. I think we dropped one toss extension. We were very sloppy. That's kind of what I remember the most. As far as like hitting and keeping things, I was pretty pleased with that. But I think some timing on some stuff was a little bad, and some things were pretty sloppy, which was understandable. We had gone through a series. I mean, we had reworked the routine twice over the course of 6 weeks. We were a lot of stuff was just not kind of vibing really good in our direction, but they did well with that performance. Wasn't disappointed in that. I think that one came second, and I remember it now that I'm thinking about it. But anyway, we did bluegrass. We won that one, easy peasy. Got our bid to nationals. Super chill kind of competition. Like I said, I went in feeling good about it. I was pleased with the performance. Pleased that like we were getting some stuff under our belt. After you've kind of gone through that struggle and you're putting stuff. We're out here. We're getting it done. At bluegrass is when we found out that our pyramid was illegal. The second pyramid, and we were like, that sucks. They didn't like hammer us for it. They just told us that this was illegal. Keep that in mind because that's going to be an important factor later on in this story. But we were worked the pyramid. But yeah, I'm confident now that sectionals was before. So we competed against Graves before this to go to state. We're both going to state now. They've changed the rule. The year before, it was whoever won goes. Now it's the top two teams from each division, from each region, qualify to state, which kind of pissed me off because I kind of wanted the chance to send them home, let them watch us again. And there's a lot of times where McCracken didn't get to go. But I wasn't going to fret about it too much. I never missed one. I think, the first one, when I got to McCracken, is the only one I didn't go to. So I'm not that heartbroken about it. it worked out. So that performance, I just remember kind of being emotional going into that. Like I was really close to Jack and Caleb, who were both seniors. We'd been through a lot. I was really excited for them. And Graves went before us. They had a mistake. I really wanted to beat them. My daughter was on the team the year before. She got kicked off. um, but we had almost considered, and at one point that way back in the beginning around trials, I'd considered her coming to McCracken, and then I would just not coach and just sit out, and I would do that for her. I loved her, but she ended up deciding not to do that. So I've kind of got a little bit of a personal grudge in this. Like I want to win. I want to get my leg back, for my kid. That's not what happened. But I remember being a little emotional before, and I was very excited. Like we had an opportunity to win, and I felt good. I felt confident that we could hit our routine. We went out there. The opening was really good, very very solid, very clean, great. Even like the Graves County coach John afterwards when we did the toss libs, he came up and he's like, "I know those aren't toss libs. I know you guys are just throwing like a little watered down thing for us." He was right. But I think we only had one drop, and I think it was a pyramid. I think we saved something in the cheer that was a little rough, but it was enough for them to beat us, and I felt okay with that. I mean, we had the mistake. I felt like we were going to have to hit, and I knew pretty early on that we weren't going to. They were really good that year too. I mean, they were bigger than us. They had better stunts, harder stunts. They were very, very clean really early on. I mean, they had a really good routine, and they ended up having a really great season from a performance standpoint. But right here, that was not the case for us anyway. So from there, it's pretty much simple. We got Jenna back. I think because we had lost Ella, we had found a way to go ahead and keep Jada on the floor now too, and we were able to open up our stunts a little bit more and give Tanner a stunt. From keeping the extra top girls out on the floor. So we found ways to make that work. And generally at this point, things are not too terrible. We had some instances who were some traveling, some things happened in some hotels that were kind of bad, but like generally things are going okay for the most part. And we'll bring up the hotel stuff later. We're not going to get into it a whole lot right now until it becomes a problem. I remember we were getting ready for state. I remember being really strung out right there. Like, I remember being very stressed out. I really wanted to win. The big thing going at our state was that they had gotten rid of the co-ed. They had like co-ed A and co-ed B or small. Is some, I don't even know what the difference between them was, except for like school size maybe, or I don't even know. But it was just co-ed now. So it's us. Graves County's really good, and Bullitt Central's with us this year too. And Bullitt Central's pretty good as well this year. They had gotten third the year before in small co-ed. They only had two guys, but I mean these guys were pretty good and doing some really hard skills. And the question was going to be, this was a very interesting competition because you had Graves County that was large co-ed, you had us that was medium, and you had Bullitt that was small. And the question was who was going to win. And it's really really hard to compare those things sometimes, but we ended up making it pretty easy for them. But I remember being really stressed out going into this and very high strung about winning this, and I felt very obsessed by it. Like it was constantly on my mind, constantly wanted to get here and do this. I was very hungry for this. I was very hungry to prove that we were good and that we were great and that we deserved validation. I mean, I don't know what it was at the time, but I was really tore up about that stuff. Like I wanted people to think that we were great. And I was kind of an idiot. But I remember being really strung out going into it. And the competition itself was pretty simple. I think we went first out of those three that had a chance to win, and we made some mistakes. I know we had a drop. I think we had a bobble somewhere too. I mean, we just didn't do well. I think we had people bust tumbling. Not a great performance as far as I remember. I remember being disappointed that we didn't hit. I thought that we should have been able to hit, and it just, was not what we wanted, not the performance that we wanted, not the outcome that we wanted. And then Graves County went after us. I think they had one mistake, and then Bullitt Central hit, and they ended up giving it to Bullitt Central. Oh, which was fine. I think we got third. So it pretty much amounted to, the person who made the least amount of mistakes won. The person that made the next one got second. And the person that made the most got third. It's pretty simple, clean cut, as easy as it gets. After state, we're shifting gear. We're putting in the toss QPs. We're getting ready for nationals. It's time. I'm done. We're done with doing this routine the way that it is. We're doing this. We changed the first pyramid, that fancy spinny loady high. We just need something that's cleaner, something that's we actually ended up getting something that was harder and kind of worked better on the score sheet. I think I put it together. It was a round off up pyramid, hands full around, just something quick and easy that went with the counts, and it really went with the counts and went with the music, and it just hit real good. We didn't have to change a whole lot. And I was very, very proud of that pyramid right there. And we did make that look good at nationals, and it was the best decision. So I was excited about that, having some input that went into making the routine better. And like I said, the toss QPs, we knew this was going to be a work. We just got to expose them to this and just put them on this. And Caleb was doing really, really well with his. And Jack was coming along, and then Brandon was getting there as well. And then we had, I think we had Ben and Max. We had 5 in the beginning. We did a performance at Murray State on a Thursday night. Yeah. We had worked it out with Graves. We were like halftime of one of the Murray State basketball games. Big, I think it was pretty decent size crowd there that night. We were excited to get the opportunity to do that. I can't remember which one of us went first. But we just roll them out there. We go, come back, sit down, watch the other team go. We did not have a good performance. We ripped those toss QPs in the beginning. I think we dropped 3 of them of 5. I think the only one that smacked it was Caleb. It was kind of rough. I think the rest of the routine actually was okay. And then we got to the second stunt. We changed the second stunt to toss libs. And Max dropped his horrendously bad. Dropped the girl on the floor. It was bad. Bad drop. And he was mad, punching the floor, just right there in front of everybody. And we get through the rest of it, and it's okay. And then it was kind of tense after that because we're getting ready to go to Moorhead. This is a big weekend for us, and we don't. But that was the first time we had him out in front of a crowd doing it too. So there's that, and it's big one. We traveled. It's been all day. There's some excuses, but we went to the back, and the kids all went off together. Seniors took them, giving them a little pep talk, and we were sitting there. And I remember Raymond come out, and he's like, Taylor, talking about Taylor, she's taking this team, and she's leading this team right now. And she's giving them a fact. I went over there and kind of eavesdropped, and she is just chewing ass, man. I don't know what Raymond was talking about leaders. Boy, she was putting their ass on the notice board. That's what was happening. It was a good old tongue lashing, sick of this crap, tired of struggling. And that's kind of what our theme has been, is we've been struggling. And it's a lot of it's just the other crap. We've got people with some bad attitudes that are hard to deal with, and some people that need to shut up sometimes. Caleb was a very vocal leader and very driven, but we had so much drama stuff going on at this time because we'd had issues with 2 guys and dating the same girl or whatever they was doing with her. They was arguing, and I think Quentin had gotten mono around this time. We had to take him out of the routine, and we put Big E in this place. And then when Quentin came back from mono, we decided we weren't going to put Quentin back in because when Big E was in, the pyramids were looking better. And it really wasn't affecting our stunts because we reworked it and Quentin wasn't in the stunts anyway. We found a way to make it work with Tanner, so we were just kind of we didn't need to. and we were afraid this close to nationals disrupted the team chemistry. He was not very receptive to that, believe it or not, as most people wouldn't be. But he was kind of being a little negative about it. So it's not too very rainbowy in cheerleading world right now. We're about a month out. We go to V Rock that weekend, and we come out there, and we have one of the nastiest performances we've ever had in our life. We smack all 5 of these toss QPs right out the gate. Absolutely murder this routine. And I was like, okay. I feel pretty good about that. Like, we went from 2 days ago being absolute dog water, like 36 hours prior we were dog water, to like, we're pretty good. Like, we got this going on. It was a banging performance. All this stuff hit. Super, super thrilled. I mean, the feedback we got was awesome. We went, go up, practice some Moorhead, do all that stuff. Blackman's there, Graves is there, it's us. Pretty good time. Nothing crazy. And then we go to do the Moorhead Showcase that night, and the Moorhead Showcase was not fantastic. When we came out there and we did the showcase, we dropped Toss QB, we dropped Toss Lib. I think we went twice, probably dropped that Toss Lib both times. Struggled with some stuff. Just kind of, I think looking at that, I think we said to ourselves the same thing. Like, we're either doing too much or we've got too much on some people's plates. So we're going to come back and we're going to scroll down and we're going to get this ironed out the way that it's supposed to be. When we come home, we make the decision we're going to go down to 4 toss QPs. Not a big deal. I'm not upset about that. That was really the only big change that we made. And we thought, we'd take something off of Max, give him one thing to really have to focus on, that toss lib. And that toss lib dropped a lot. Almost all the time. Now that I think about it. I mean, obviously, we dropped it at the Murray. We dropped it at Moorhead. We did the O'Brien Showcase. We dropped it there. Several performances going into this. It was bad. But in general, like I said, I thought a lot of things we were performing at a really, really high level. The toss QPs were getting better and better. They were still a little I would have liked them to be a little bit more consistent than what they were, but when you're talking about getting to that point where you're peaking, we were real close to peaking. So you don't want to push it too much. Let it just kind of happen organically. Give them the reps. Don't overdo it. Just keep it moving. Most part, like I said, everything felt really good going into Nationals. And then the week of Nationals came. I can't remember when that week everything started going bad, but pretty early on in the week. I know it was the week that we left. Our school was making some headlines for some kind of stuff you didn't want to be making headlines for. Teachers got arrested, and I don't really know. To this day, I don't really know all the details. I'm sure it had something to do with teachers and students and some inappropriate conversations, and there was a whole lot of stuff going on at this time. It was bad. I mean, there were several people were involved in this. And it was kind of it was a bad feeling. Just the people at the school could feel it. Obviously, us working for the school, we could tell. And there was a whole lot of stuff that people just didn't know. And it was crazy. The athletic director just up and resigns. And, it ended up being a whole mess. I think a coach. The crazy story, we'll get into this later. I think it was the bass fishing coach was touching up on some boys or something, or texting them, male on male. He got arrested. I think he got sentenced, and then for some reason he was out. And this was just a few years ago. And then he died in a police shoot-off. No shit. Just not going to jail. This was legit. Crazy crap. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, okay? Some really crazy stuff. Now, I never knew all the details about a lot of stuff, but I remember that one. But there were several teachers that got arrested, or I don't even know how many people were charged. I remember the bass fishing coach because that's the craziest shit ever. That's why I remember that. And the athletic director resigning. So it's kind of an odd feel going into this. I think kind of looking at it, I was like, this is a chance for us to go out here and win and maybe get some good PR for the school right now. That's terrible. But it was kind of high strung, I think, and it's going to set a tone for later on in this story at the back end of this week. Um, but things were a little tense. Going to nationals, they had kind of changed up our format a little bit this year. I think we were going like later on Saturday than what we normally had. So we were kind of curious about how, or we were maybe that, or we were going early. Something was a little different. Um, Obviously, traveling down there was pretty smooth, nothing fancy. We get down there, we do our normal stuff. I think instead of doing Animal Kingdom that year, we were like, well, we're all gonna go to Magic Kingdom. It didn't matter. We all did it together. Great time. I don't really remember a whole lot of problems, really anything up until we're the day before. It's all pretty much just run of the mill. Practicing, we practicing a Bullet Central, practicing Grays, practicing Blackman, practicing here. And like I said, most of the time practices were fine. Nothing that I was really like, oh, this is not going great. Nothing that I was too panicky about. I just kind of had faith that they were going to pull it out in the moment. The Friday before, we did all our practice stuff, and then afterwards we were going to let the kids go to Disney World for a little bit. Just, I think maybe the weather was going to rain or something. We just let them go, let them have a little bit of fun. They seemed a little stressed out. We'll give them a little bit of a break because we're going to have time till they go tomorrow. I think we were going to do like a morning practice the next day before we did all our stuff. And one girl we did not let go because she was sick. Sounded sick. Sounded horrible. Brooklyn. Sounded terrible. And she just cried and screamed and threw one of the biggest fits I've ever seen a child throw in my entire life. Just belligerent. No understanding. I mean, throwing a fit. An absolute fit over this. I wasn't going to go to Disney World. I just wanted a chance to relax in the hotel room. I decided to go because I got tired of listening to her screaming through the walls. So we went up and we left. All went together. I can't remember what we did. I think I remember riding some Toy Story stuff. Pretty excited about that. But like I said, we did our whole spill that night, the big emotional send off. I don't remember a whole lot. I remember being a lot emotional about, like I said, losing my seniors. We only had four. We had Taylor and we had Madison. We had Caleb and we had Jack. Pretty simple. It was, and not to say it's less emotional. It was emotional because I was very close to both of them, both the guys especially. And everything we've kind of been through and all we've been working on, the amount of time we spent together in the gym, all that stuff, man, it's hard. And I watched them grow and I watched them in front of me, and we've all been really close. So seeing them kind of getting ready to wrap up, it's tough. I'm going to fast forward, just get straight to semifinals because I don't really remember a whole lot of shit that went on before that. This day was agony. Agony, agony. So first things first, let's go over the performance. We get there. All the warm-up stuff, everything I've talked about, we've gone through the whole thing. Nothing crazy happens. Pretty much run of the mill. We go out. We have the semifinals performance. Toss QP smack in the opening. I mean, drilled them. We had one mistake in the pyramid. And just lost one of the full rounds. It wasn't a huge deal. I think it was Caleb. So it was like, I was like, he's not going to drop that twice. Tumbling's good. Max drops the toss limit. I was like, that's a problem. He's been dropping that. Everything in the cheer hits, stunts in the second half, pyramid hits. We feel pretty good. Okay, we got a couple mistakes. A little bit more than we want. One, I would have felt better with one. A little concerned about the max stuff. But we've got some time. We want to get the kids back to the hotel and to rest. And now we're kind of in the middle. So I think Jennifer and Raymond stayed over there. It was my responsibility to take the kids back to the hotel with the parents. First things first. We get out there and I let them know this is the game plan. We're waiting to get on the bus. I'm doing a head count. I was like, where's Ben? Oh, Ben's with his mom. In the car, leaving. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm losing it. I was like, this is my one responsibility. I cannot lose a child. So we were hollering. It's like, where's Ben at? I was like, why would your mom think that that's okay? Like, we're a team. We're traveling together. We're doing that. I need to keep up with all y'all. Like, what's wrong? Like, I just didn't understand how they did not grasp. We had a parent meeting the night before, told them everything. And I just don't understand I'm stressed out. I'm gonna strangle this kid. That's my thought. I'm stressed out, really, really stressed out. I've got on this suit. I'm hot. I'm sweating. I'm nasty. I'm tired. I'm angry. I'm irritable. I'm stressed out. And now I got Ben. I managed to somehow get all these children wrangled up, get back to the resort, and tell them, first thing we tell them, get out of your uniform. Get it off, get it set over wherever you need to so you don't get it dirty, don't get it nasty. A chance to get out of it, let your body cool down, decompress, get out of that zone, relax, rest. Get you something to eat. You got time, go over to the lunch hall, come back to your room. That's the thing. Get your meal. You can sit there and eat it, or you bring it back to the room and you sit down and you relax. Watch TV, rest, take a nap if that's what you need. I remember being in the room, my room, and I took off my tie, I've stripped down. I think I was just like my underwear and my socks. I was like, I just need to be a moment. I'm sweating. And they were showing the drawings for finals. They were showing it from the softball field or the baseball field, whatever it is. They were streaming it. You could watch it at the hotel. I remember I got it on. And shit starts just going bad. I get a call first from Jennifer. And she calls me after she's talked to Raymond. Now, Raymond called her when they announced, or when they got their paperwork, after they announced, who all made finals. Raymond stayed. Jennifer's coming back over here. I don't know why yet, but we're getting ready to get to it. So Raymond had called Jennifer, and Jennifer's like, okay, who's in first place? Or where are we at? He's like, we're in second. She's like, okay, with 2 mistakes, pretty reasonable. Who's in first place? He goes, Thunder Ridge. And she goes, who the fuck is Thunder Ridge? And then she calls me to tell me, this is kind of where we're at. I was like, okay, where we at? She's like, second. I was like, sweet. I was like, who's in first? So she said, Thunder Ridge. I go, who the fuck is Thunder Ridge? But that's not why she called me. She called me because we have to rework the routine. And I was like, what? And that spinning cartwheel that I had told you guys about that we did at camp, they told us it was illegal. We have performed this at least 3 competitions, one of which was UCA and was televised. And they're telling us right now that this is illegal. And of course, Jennifer brings up the same question. We've competed this X amount of times. And she showed us on the video, the UCA lady showed her. So this is why it's illegal. And Jennifer keeps bringing that up. And the lady just straight up says, listen, here's what I can tell you. If they don't look like this one that's not illegal, then we're going to give you a deduction for it. That's simple. They gave us a warning. They didn't hammer us for 30 points in deductions. They gave us a warning. I'm like, okay, we have to change it. We're not even going to take the chance. If they didn't perform it perfect by now to where it doesn't look illegal, it's not going to happen. So I'm now throwing on all my clothes. I got Caleb is right outside. I was like, Caleb, you need to get these motherfuckers together right now. I said, get everybody together. I was like, I'm telling you what's going on. Just keep your mouth shut about it. Get everybody together. So we got them over there, and we drilled this and drilled this and drilled, and we made it just a simple thing. We did the cradle like we were. Instead of doing the spinning cartwheel, we just held it for forever, did a simple back walkover route, and we hammered it. Do not get this wrong. You have 5 minutes to learn and perfect these counts and everything. We're just hammering. We're out there, we're just right in front of our room going over it. We get everybody dressed up, back up in uniforms. Now, when they had done the drawings, they had announced us going third. And I was like, oh, shit. That's bad because we don't have enough time to do all this and get back over there and go. It can't be done. But God smiled on us that day, I guess. We had 2 Summit high schools in the division, one from Tennessee and one from California. When they did the drawings, they did not have the one Summit school there. They only had one of them. I don't know which one. But obviously when 2 Summit schools show up, it was a whole mix-up on their part, on UCA's. Fumbled the bag. So, in order to make it fair, they redrew. And we went from having to go third to going last. and people were pissed off. Big time. Now, not a lot of people's places changed, which was odd, pretty odd. Like, they weren't very drastic. Ours was huge. Huge. I mean, it was a difference of about an hour and a half. Game changer. Plenty of time. People were pissed. 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 Mad. Not our fault. We didn't draw. They did the drawing. Not on me. Not on us. Boo-hoo. Sucks to suck. Tell people to do their job. That's all I know. Now we get over there. We kind of talked to Max before, and we were kind of like, listen, if you catch it, just dip and pop off. Fuck it. It can be off count. We don't care. If you catch it, hit it. If at any point you think it's coming down, just dip and pop it off. We had just hammered that at him. Like, we can live. I'll live with it being 2 counts off. Not the end of the world for me. I don't care at all. We just got to hit. That's the whole thing. We just hit. We're fine. We're hit. We're good. I probably shouldn't have told him. Me and Mark and Raymond all were just on him about it. Like, do this. Probably should not have done that. Once again, I don't really remember a whole lot about the warm-up room. I remember feeling good. We kind of watched some. Like I said, we just really didn't know. Based on the scores and everything, we just really didn't feel the need to watch a lot of people, or our fate was kind of in our hands, and that was very apparent from the score sheet. We felt comfortable with that. This is ours, and we just had to take care of business. And a lot of teams did not do super well either. I don't think a lot of teams hit, even going into our performance. I think Thunder Ridge did, so it was like, okay, well, they hit before, and we know we clean up and make less mistakes so we can win this one. And like I said, I don't remember a whole lot. I remember just being exhausted and tired, just barely on my feet like a zombie. I think all the changes and all the drama, I'd just been worn out. I was really just beat down at this point. We sit there, and they all come out. The music starts. Ding, 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 ding. Do the toss QBs. One has to touch, but they all stay in the air. Look pretty solid. Pop off. Good. Go to the pyramid. Pyramid's good. Don't have that mistake. Tumbling's great. Awesome. Go to the toss libs. Max drops the toss lib. And I was like, well, that's it. And I really don't remember a whole lot of the rest of the routine. I remember kind of spacing out a little bit, just like, kind of like, the year before. Just, I'm trying to yell, trying to be supportive. They did that. They did the back walkover route, and when they hit it on the right count and did it, everybody, all of our family and friends, like, they were going crazy. And people were like, why are y'all going crazy? It was such an elementary thing. But we were just happy that we had changed that and got it and done it right. But when we went to the back, it was not fun. We sat in front of the monitor. We rewatched the routine. Everybody saw the mistake at this point. And we just tell them straight up, listen, that's probably not good enough. We've won twice in a row. We had mistakes. There's a team that was close to us that, they were ahead of us before. They hit. And Thunder Ridge's routine did not have any of the size. The difficulty wasn't there. The size wasn't there. They had the guys, but they just weren't putting up the volume of stunts. But, they hit. So it was just kind of, we felt like a lot of people were down. A lot of tears. A lot of people looked upset. I was just, I was kind of disappointed at this point. Like, I didn't feel very good about the award ceremony at all. Not one bit. And like I said, I don't really remember a lot. Just remember kind of just spacing out, and a lot of the kids coming up, what do you think? Do you think? I was like, man, I'm just telling you, I don't think so. Which we didn't have a whole lot of time to process it. We were the last team to go, and it wasn't going to be long before they did awards. And honestly, I just remember being out there, and I don't really remember a whole lot of nothing until we got to the end. The final 2 teams. Who are the final 2 teams? Us and Thunder Ridge. And we're there, That's all I can think about is like, hey, here it comes. Here it comes. And they announced Thunder Ridge in second place. And I physically felt relieved. Just like I could feel the wave go down my body. Like the lightest air I've ever gasped in my life. Just smooth. And then they said that, the national champion was McCracken County High School. And we celebrated. They did. I remember I sat down on the bleachers behind me and just watched. I didn't go crazy. I didn't stand up and celebrate. I just felt exhausted. I literally felt like I just survived a car crash. That was the type of feeling that I had. I remember my chest hurting. Like I just exhaustion. Like I think all of everything had finally just hit me. Like I got through what we needed to get through to get what we done, and now my body's like, it's time to take a break. There's nothing to hold on for anymore. And I remember just being exhausted, and like I just felt weak, and I mean it was immediately as soon as they said it that we had won, I felt that way, and we went back to the back and we got jackets and like I remember I was sitting down in the back, like I didn't even open mine up with everybody. And they're like, "Oh, get in the picture, get in the picture." And we finally did. We got several pictures, and we came out, and I got the picture with me and Jack and Caleb together with the jackets and the trophy. Very excited about that. But like, even then, like everybody's celebrating, and I remember going back to that. I went and sat back in those bleachers again, and just felt like I got lucky, like we escaped. It was a. It wasn't like I said it wasn't disappointing to win. I think it was just it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I didn't have that big kick, and I was wondering if we were even going to win. Part of me wondered if we deserved to win, too. You know, and just everything. Everything. I just felt so exhausted. Stuff with the school, stuff with the kids, all the stuff with the team going on, just your normal pressures. I just remember, I just want to go to sleep. Like I didn't even. It's almost like I didn't care that I won. It was like I'm happy that this is over with. I'm ready for it to be done. And they finally drug me up, and I went and took a picture. And I remember we came back that night and just sat in the hotel room, and I was like, just tired. I mean, I think we all just kind of looked at each other. I remember we all were just exhausted. And we talked a little bit about what the next year was going to be like, but when we got home is when things got really bad. And I need to talk about this. I'm not going to go into all of it because it's, once again, this is one of those things like with Ethan, this not everything is my story to tell. And some stuff is just not worth mentioning. Some stuff I don't know if it happened. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's real. So I'm not going to bring up anything crazy. But one kid came and told us about some stuff some of them were doing when we were in Florida. So we're going to investigate it and look into it. And basically one kid like admitted to like a whole bunch of stuff happening and nobody else did. I mean, this was not anything like heinous. This is not like nothing criminal or nothing like that. It's just kids being stupid. We just found out about it. And there were some really interesting conversations. But I remember she had, when everything was being told to her, we could have just said whatever. Just, it's over, But with everything that was going on at the school, I think she felt compelled to be like, didn't want to get caught looking like we were covering something up, It looks bad. So she went and she said something about it to the principal. because we didn't have an athletic director at the time. And he was kind of just like, he basically just told us to just either drop it or deal with it on our own. There was just too much going on, which is understandable. He was in the middle of an absolute shitstorm. We didn't understand how bad it was for him, but he was in the middle of a storm, just a storm. Um, but she didn't listen to that. She was very persistent about it. Wanted some stuff done. I think she was upset that this stuff might have gone on, and she was, you see it kind of disrespectful putting us in jeopardy, especially with everything that's going on right now. Like I said, with everything that was going on at the school right now, just bad publicity was bad publicity, and we didn't want any part of that. But what ended up happening was like the next day, the principal had us put on administrative leave because everything. He ended up coming back months later because they suspended him for nothing because they're stupid. But they ended up it's gone. So like now it's we don't even know who's got this situation. We don't know. We have no athletic director. We have no principal. We don't know who's governing over this situation. We don't know what decision they're going to make, what they're going to pass down, what they're going to do, and ultimately, nothing happens. It's a very stressful time. A lot of stuff going on. But the worst part was that it was every fucking day that I was hearing about this crap of stuff. And some of the stuff I knew for sure it didn't happen because I was with the kids when Say said this or that happened. I was like, that didn't happen. I was there. Like, I personally know that it did not happen. And there's a lot of stuff. I was like, this is kids. Some of it's bullshit. Like, you don't know. Did the kid do that? Did he do that? Did he, did he drink 15 Dr. Peppers last night? No, he didn't drink 15 Dr. Peppers. I was not Dr. Pepper. You know what I'm saying? But it was stupid stuff, man. And ultimately, none of it was like a huge deal. But it was just stupid. And I was like, this whole situation is just created from stupidity. And it was about 6 weeks. And like I said, I'm exhausted. I want to rest. I want to take a break. And I can't. Because all this crap is going on. And I have to deal with it. I could have just ignored it, I guess. There were times where I wanted to be like, please just let this go. Like, you want to deal with it, let's just deal with it. Let's just punish them. We'll just do it. We'll do it. We'll do what we think is suitable. We can do whatever we want. They've told us we can do whatever we want to do. But eventually someone comes in and basically tells us that we can't do anything because you can't prove anything happened, which, goes right back to what I said at the beginning with, I don't know why we're dealing with all this. We couldn't prove anything. We don't know if anything happened. Nobody said anything about this happening. It's just ridiculous. It's just drama and drama and drama. And like I said, after everything, all year long of drama, I was just so sick of it. And I mean, it resulted in some actions taking place. Like, Caleb was not allowed at open gyms anymore. It was something with relationship drama with one of the girls more than anything. I don't think it was anything with Florida, but it was just drama, and we just decided we couldn't have that. He was a senior, and I just was like, well, I'm gonna work with him still. I don't care. Like y'all are just y'all are telling him that he can't come. I was like, he can get with me and do whatever he wants to. I was like, I don't have to do it here. I was like, I'm not doing that. I am not giving up. I was like, I don't care what you think he did, or I don't give a shit. I'm not quitting on him. And I love Caleb to death. He's one of my best friends. He is today. Talk to him all the time. And he's got a chance to go. He was looking to go to Western. I was like, he needs to be able to get ready for his tryouts. So I'm going to work with him, and I don't care. And, no, everybody was fine with that. Just not with the team, which I thought was, like I said, was dumb because I'm bringing the team in. Yeah. I just thought the whole thing was blown out of proportion because, like, he was back practicing, like, after his tryouts, like, he was back practicing with us during the summer, so it wasn't that big a deal. It was just, I guess people needed a break or whatever. And then they did something similar to Jack, something similar with a girl. Drama with the guy and the girl, which is dumb. And he's trying to get ready for this stuff, too, because he's going to try out at Shelton. And I was like, I don't care. I mean, me and Jack went extremely hard during this time because I was like, I just want to help these guys get to where they want to go. Like I was so tired and so beat down. I just wanted to go to work and gym because going to the gym and putting work on these skills makes me feel better. And I had a lot to think about just going forward with working with Max and rebuilding him. But I do remember like when me and Caleb and Jack, we were all together studying, and I just all this stuff was still kind of going on. We were kind of the back end of it, and I was just telling him, I was like, listen, I want to quit so bad. I'm so tired of this. And they, we kind of, they weren't on the team anymore. I had no problems venting to them. Didn't feel bad about it at all. Maybe I shouldn't have done it. I don't know. Don't care. Nothing came of it. They were good to me. They were my friends. And I respected them. They cared about me and I cared about them. And I just didn't give a shit about, you know, I was done. I was baked and finished. I was so exhausted. All this crap that we were going through, I just didn't want to go through it anymore. I was just like, I'm tired. But like, I thought, we can do better with the performance. And then part of me just kind of convinced myself like, eventually this is all going to go away. It's not going to be a big deal. And just move on. And it's done with. And that is what happened eventually, But like I said, with this group, like when I think about it, it's just, I think a lot of our problems in the future spanned out of this year, whether it's from a lack of leadership or thinking. I mean, a lot more stupid stuff would happen after this, and I don't know if people just kind of embrace the idea that this was normal or something, but like there was a shift here, and I don't necessarily know if I liked it all the time because it was, stuff was just difficult to deal with. Like just, I don't care for all that crap, I want to do the work, and this was the first time that at the end of it all, I wondered if it was worth it. I talk about a lot of, you have to give and you have to give and you have to give. But sometimes you give things away that change you and make you not the person that you were at the beginning when you wanted it. And that's how I felt. It was the first time where I almost was just like, this is not worth what I'm giving it. It's this. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't that stuff. It was everything out on the outside. I was very overwhelmed by it all. And I think it was kind of having like a negative impact on me, and a lot of stuff would impact what we would do going forward. Like I said, ultimately, it was a whole lot of nothing. At the end of the day, that's really what it was. Just kids being stupid. And I don't think you have to throw the book at the kid for doing something stupid. He do punish them, do reprimand them, and we did. But heads rolled in other ways. Like I said, the intensity was pretty high after that. It was, I think in her mind, there was a very low tolerance to piss her off, was basically the way that I would describe it. And the axe wasn't done swinging. We'd cheer the regional basketball game. One of the boys, directly after the game, went over to his backpack and ripped his vape in the gym. And she's right there. Right there. I'm like, you fucking idiot. He's gone. Done. That day. And that sucks. He was going to be a senior. He had been on the team the last 2 years when we won, had experience. I thought it was a little extreme. I think it was a message, honestly. She was super pissed off. I think she just had enough. She wanted to do something about it. Fortunately, this kid just was the one that was stupid enough. And it was punishable, and it was, not wrong. I think we would have been more lenient on any other condition. But it was a bad time to be stupid. And that's the best way to describe that, is a bad time to be stupid. And he was stupid. And he was not the only one. We ended up at the next tryouts, which we'll cover this a lot more next one. But the next tryouts, we ended up axing Brooklyn over some problems, some drama that she created. I don't really want to go into it because it's personal, stupid stuff. But I know about it because people were pissed about it. But ultimately, whatever she did ended up. One girl decided she didn't want to be on the team anymore because she didn't want to be on the team with Brooklyn, so she quit. Wasn't going to come back, and we loved her. It was Jenna. She didn't want to come back. We wanted to have her back, and she said she's not going to. She's done. So Brooklyn ended up getting the axe, and it wasn't just for that. I mean, we had obviously the problems with her being a little immature as a freshman. We had the issue in Florida. You know, she's the one hacking and crying and throwing a fit, and just it was we were getting ready to clean house, and it was if you were not going to play the way that we wanted to and do things the way that you wanted to and show us respect, then the axe was coming. And all this stuff is just so every single day. You know, I've got a full time job, I've got a family at home. You know, and I enjoy doing this. I really do. But I like to be home with my family. But I never end up dealing with these problems unless I'm at home with my family. That's when the phone rings. And yeah, it was a lot. But we ended up like doing the banquet. I remember that year was awesome. Very emotional getting to send off my boys. You know, Jack and Caleb. We were all really close. And I mean, like I said, we were in the gym working together all the time, every single day, and we still were after this. I mean, me and Jack would be studying together for years, years after this. I don't think that I was really as close with a lot of people as I was them, and to have taken them from where they were and to see where they were, and just the respect that they had for me, and the passion that we all carried to each other. So proud of both of them. And I enjoyed spending time with them. I felt like they understand and thought about things a lot the way that I do, and they were both at the point where like they had experience, they could understand a lot of what all this is. And I, like I said, I enjoyed them, enjoyed their families very, very much. It was very difficult to continue to do this without them. I had a hard time adjusting. As weird as that sounds, they were super important to me. Both of them were. And Jack would go on to do such incredible things, man. Yeah, that's the thing about Jack is Jack was this small guy that we took, who you always wondered, was he going to be able to make it? Was he going to? And then not only does he make it, he's a national champion in high school at Shelton State, goes to the University of Kentucky, does all these things, incredible things. Everywhere, everybody loves him, respects him. He works hard. He does the things he's supposed to do. He doesn't make excuses. He finds his technique, and he's always working, always making these things happen for other people. He's an open door, an unbelievable talent, and he's very, very giving to everybody around him. We called him Captain America. He looks like Captain America, and now he's like the buff Captain America, like. And that's who he was. Not just, we didn't call him Captain America just because he looked like Captain America. We called him Captain America because that's the kind of human being that he was. He loved his friends. And he was unbelievably loyal. And worked harder than almost anybody in the room. Overcame his size. And I feel like he almost always does the right thing. No matter what it costs him. And it was really, really hard to go on without Jack. And Caleb, that little shit. He's like my little brother, man. Just all the time. All the time. I mean, he's the one that gave me the name The Father. That was Caleb. And we spent so much time together just grinding and understanding and the effort. He had this cockiness and this arrogance to him, man. And it would turn some people off, man, but I loved it. I thought that he was just, I liked his brashness. I liked his confidence. I liked that not only did he say it, I liked that he was able to back it up. And, that rubs some people the wrong way. But at the end of the day, man, we'd be cackling on the bus like a bunch of little schoolgirls over some stupid pictures or memes and cracking jokes and acting so immature. Like, he would come back to practices and, like, me and him would have to be separated because we'd get to talking and laughing and goofing off, and I'm not paying attention to doing my job anymore. But, like, incredible, man. Just a toughness and ferociousness. He talks a lot, talks a lot of smack, and but man, he's good, good, good. And he always showed me a tremendous amount of respect. Never at any point do I ever think that he ever did anything that would disrespect me. Like I said, we're still friends to this day. Just did the one of the recent episodes with him, and what he went to Western. He ended up deciding to not go and went the military route, and I know he's been doing some crazy stuff and being all over the world, but I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for where he's at now. And Jack as well. Jack's home. Jack's been working. I don't know exactly where he was. He left for a little bit, went to North Carolina, and now he's back. But they're all, within the area, and I think that we're all gonna, some point soon. I think it's time to sit down and reminisce and have a drink and look back at the old memories. But man, it was very difficult, and losing Taylor, who was a senior, who had been on this team for several years, and Taylor was a pretty good person. She was a little goofy, a little odd, but I liked Taylor quite a bit. And I liked Madison. Madison was so tough, and like I talked about it before, I never felt like Madison got the credit that she deserved for the type of leader that she was and the way that she was able to help keep other people engaged. And I think losing Madison would end up being a problem the next year when we're struggling more with that element. But Madison really ushered in a whole lot of change. And she was tough and she was resilient. And, I don't always know. And for her to get to have that last year with her sister, with Caroline, and to make that, I think, I know Caroline used to always talk about how special that was to her, that she did get to cheer with her sister one year. And I know it meant a lot to Madison. And those girls fight all the time. But that's a rough family to be in. But man, I know that they love each other, and I'm happy that they got to have that memory together and to share the floor together as sisters. I think it's part of their story, and in a lot of ways, Caroline became a lot of what Madison was. It was. There's a lot to talk about there. But yeah, man, just an incredible group of people. Obviously, a lot of questions going to the forward, and we're going to talk about a lot of that. But I as I go into this, I do just kind of want to set the tone that I'm very tired, and I'm exhausted. I'm beat up and I'm wore down. I'm studying all the time with Jack, trying to get him ready for Shelton. I mean, we were doing some insane stuff. Like, I remember we was going to like Lakewood, coming in at like 7:00 at night and not leaving until 2-3 a.m. Just stunning. Just me, him, and Abby. And all the time. The grind was nasty to try to get him ready, to get him some skills so that he could go and try out at Shelton, which obviously he did, and it went great for him. But the next year is a tough year. I think it's a very different year in some regards, because I think the fallout of winning so often kind of caught up to us. I think I learned a lot about leadership and growth and the absence of, and I think pressure was a little difficult to deal with at times. It's going to be a little bit of the same, a little bit of the. I definitely think it's a more of a. The father really became a kind of a bigger piece of it than just the cheerleading. I think I had to, especially with everything that was going on, I think I started stepping in more of a mentorship role than just coaching. I think there was a shift in that. I think it was a necessary shift at times. Because this is the year that I'm going to clash with the boys more so than anything. And like, I'm going to put my foot down. We're going to have at it. And I do get to have at it quite a bit with a few of them. So there's going to be some interesting drama in that. But I would like to end this and just say, this was our three-peat. And it was a really, really big deal for us. Like I said, just the extra stuff just kind of ruined a lot of stuff. It was very stressful. But their place in history can't be denied. We did three-peat. We got the national championships. We got the rings. Got that ring, kept that ring, still have that ring. It's my favorite one. That year we did something stupid. We'll talk about it now. We ordered rings for the guys and separate rings for the girls, because the guys wanted these massive rings, or the designs that they wanted. They were too crazy to fit on a girl's ring as small as it was. Um, so the guys, we had different rings for the girls, which is really cool. But like, we'll talk about it later. Um, but it was pretty cool. But when we got our rings, this was probably like during the summer or closer to like the beginning of the next school year. All the guys' rings, ours come in, they're beautiful, gorgeous, and all the girls' rings, McCracken was across it, and it was spelled wrong on all of them. Every single one. It was like McCracken or something like that. It was not McCracken. It was McCracken or something like that. And every single one of them, man. Every single ring in the box. That was the girls' rings mixed up. So they had to send their rings back and wait for them to get them redone and sent back to us. And I bet that had to absolutely suck. But we were excited with ours. We were very, very proud. And I'm still proud of mine. It sits on the shelf today in my living room. I walk by it every single day. Super proud of it. It's got, I didn't have my name put on the ring. That's the first one I had the Father put on. So instead of that section where it has your name, it says the Father. Big crimson gem on the top, diamonds on the outside, M in the middle. 3 Cupies on the side. That's important because only 3 of them were unassisted. I only got 3 on mine. Just saying it. Sorry, Ben. But for right now, I just want to say thank you for tuning in and listening. Kind of putting that old video together that we just did and kind of applying it to the story. That was me kind of setting the tone, I guess, more than anything. So if you want to go back and watch that one, you want to watch this one again, please continue to enjoy my content. If you do, like it, subscribe it, share it, help me grow this. I put a lot of time and effort into it, and I know it's not always the most exciting, but man, I do enjoy it. It's been good for me to talk about these things and to have time to think about what I'm going to say before I say it. And, you know, my athletes out there, I'm still planning to get with a lot of you guys and make stuff happen. Just keeping chugging away. So we'll continue to do this. Like I said, if you like it, love it, follow it, subscribe, share it. Thank you for listening. I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you continue to enjoy it. And I hope that you stick around for me to tell a whole lot more stories, because they're just going to get a little bit crazier and a little bit wilder and a little bit more out of control. So I'll see you next time on Memoirs of the Father.